Hey guys, Nate Sullivan here from FLoBros Bassin, and today we're going to be teaching you guys how to fish the frog. Now every single week we post a tip video on Thursday, and we put a tip video poll up on Twitter, so you guys can vote which tip video we want to do next. This time it was lipless crank and frog won by 1 vote out of 27 votes. So be sure to vote on that for next week. Also, as you can see, I have my No Coast Fishing hat, brand new sponsor of ours, very excited to work with them. Announcements on the Twitter, go like that up, and enjoy the video, guys. Now the two main types of frogs we have is 1, a walking frog, and 2, a popping frog. The differences between them is the popping frog seems to come more vertical at the water and creates splashes up, whereas the walking frog works more like a spook where it walks side to side to side to side. Now, for conditions where it's darker, and I like the popping frog personally. For conditions that it's lighter, I like the action on this, and this one even has a little rattle, as you can see. That helps with the action. Alright, so when it comes down to walking my frog, I use a Shimano SLX rod, 7.2 heavy, and a Lose Max speed spool, left-handed version, 7:5:1 gear ratio. The reason I use 7:5:1 is because you need to be able to catch up to that fish when it's crawling extra fast and catch up to its mouth and set the hook properly. So when we cast it out here, there's 2 ways you could do it. You could normal cast it, or you could flip it out there. Sometimes you want to flip it to get onto some mat or some lily pads. And what you want to do is if it's a slower day, sometimes you want to pop, pause. Pop, pause. And you can mix up your timing when you're pausing it. And depending on the day, sometimes they'll bite it slow, sometimes they'll bite it fast. Sometimes you'll be out there and you'll just be out there working it fast like this, and you'll just be hammering it. But other times it's going to have to be slow. I mean, frog fishing's all something that you have to work on it. I mean, it's a skill type fish. Also, one way to help you work your frog, I like to cut these down a little bit. This is full of water, but one way I like to do it is if you cut one side of the strands shorter than the other side, it helps you walk your frog so it continues to have this motion instead of just up and down motion. All right, so the conditions I like to fish my frog in mostly is morning time, but surprisingly, people will say you get out there in the summer and it gets hotter and hotter, you won't be able to catch them on this, but you'd be surprised how many times late in the evening in the summer in the hot weather when nothing else is working, you could throw a frog out there and you can get a blow up, especially in those shady areas. Now, frogs for me are a year-long bait. I love frogs any time of the year. The only time is in winter. If you live in a colder state, the fish might be more lethargic and less fast to hit this. So I think these are the main tips you guys need to know when you're going out to throw your frog. Just know that there is a learning curve to it on how you work it and how it works and where you throw it and how to cast. So just be sure not to give up on it, because it takes a little bit to get to your first fish sometimes, but once you get them, you'll realize that the frog is probably the best bait, my favorite bait. And that's all I have on fishing a frog. Honestly, get yourself a frog, a popping frog, a walking frog, doesn't matter what kind. Get yourself out in the water, throw this thing around, and just work on the techniques I was teaching you. Try to fish it fast, try to fish it slow. And let me tell you, once you start catching fish on this thing, it's addicting. You're never gonna wanna put this thing down. So get out there, go fish, have fun with it. It's one of my favorite baits, just because of the reaction strikes you get off of it. Now, be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, as we just reached 200 subs. Thank you all for that. And the social media links will be right up here, as you guys can see. And that's been it. See you guys.